guys, Coach Victoria Islas from SteelMaceWarrior.com and the Steel Mace Warrior podcast. Today we have a brand new episode and we have the one and only Jamie Pinto, also known as the Alchemist, on Instagram, and obviously you can check him out on Facebook as well. And I'll make sure to add the links, all the resource links in the blog article or the YouTube description. And if you're obviously listening to this in just an audio format, then I recommend you go over to my website at SteelMaceWarrior.com to go check that out. But anyways, I think that Jamie Pinto, one of the things that he's really known for, at least for me, that makes him like a really awesome dude with a steel mace, right, is his videos. Like, his videos are trippy, they're psychedelic, and actually we discuss his videos and we discuss a little bit about psychedelics in general. Like, we don't really tap super deep into it, but he kind of talks about his usage of stuff like that, and kind of like a little bit of a spiritual side. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but I'll let you guys kind of figure that out on your own as you're listening to it and take on what you need to take on from the episode, right? But anyway, so we go into that a little bit. We go into his music background, which is really awesome because I can relate with him on that. I'm also a musician. So it's really cool to meet someone else that's doing music, a guitar player. I'm a guitar player, so I really vibe with Jamie in this episode. So we talk a little bit about that. We talk about the music. We talk about the two bands. We talk about how he started. He started in construction. He wanted to get out of that, so he ended up getting into fitness, right? And like everyone else, we always start conventional or weightlifting or whatever it is. And then we find the steel mace. So we get to hear a little bit of his journey with the steel mace, of course, right? This podcast is all about steel mace. And then we talk a little bit about steel mace flow and the community and stuff like that, which I have to give a shout out to all the steel mace coaches that have been on the podcast these last couple of episodes. Thank you guys so much. This podcast would not be anything without the guests. So if you're a listener, you know, we got to give them a high five for getting on the podcast and giving us all that free knowledge that we've been getting for the last 2 seasons. I'm actually wondering when season 2 is going to end. I guess I want to match it up with season 1, and then I'm going to take a little break and go to season 3. But we still got some more episodes to go before I take a little break. And I still have so many guests that I want on for season 2. So don't worry, I'm still here for a while more before we jump into season 3. But anyways, I'm super excited to share this episode with you. Jamie Pinto is the most chill, almost like gentle soul that I've had on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to him. And in case you guys don't know, none of these podcasts are ever scripted, so we really just go with the flow. We really just go with whatever comes out, comes out. We talk about the journeys, we talk about the mace, and so much more in each episode, and it's never ever scripted. So I literally meet these guests for the first time ever, and so it's a little stressful for me, but I end up loving every single person that I have on the podcast. Like, so far, everyone's been phenomenal. I can't say anything else. So thank you guys so much, and don't forget, you guys can donate, you guys can purchase the merch over at SteelMaceWarrior.com to support this podcast and to support the Steel Mace community, all right, guys? Thank you so much. May the universe always flow with you. What's up, Steel Mace Warriors? Here we are with Jamie Pinto, and we'll get into it, but I really want to ask about the name, the Alchemist, on Instagram. I know everyone knows you as the Alchemist, so I'm gonna ask about that. But like every other guest, dude, this is our first time meeting, by the way. Like, in every episode, I get to meet everyone just as we go with the flow, right? So tell us about your story, man. Tell us about like what led you to the steel mace and kind of like what drew your passion towards it.
Okay, so the thing that actually led me to the steel mace was a trainer that I was mentoring with when I decided to get certified as a trainer. He was kind of helping me build just my identity, I guess you could say. Okay. And you know, he was like, "You're very different in fitness industry standards." So
what did he mean by that? Like, just curious.
Well, so he is he's been in the fitness industry for years. He was a strength coach on the Sixers during the Allen Iverson era.
Oh,
And
wow.
he was like he's a childhood friend and classmate from grade school, and we
Wow.
reconnected years later on Facebook, and we met up, we had a beer, we hung out, we talked, we caught up, and then we were just in touch from that day forward. And probably like a year and a half later is when I decided to get into the industry. Um, so I asked for his help and his guidance essentially, and after I got certified from NASM. I did a small mentorship with him. His name's Jim Ferris, and that kind of gave me like my foundation in strength training. But I already had a pretty big foundation in strength training as it was, but it just filled in some gaps and made things a little bit more efficient and easier for me
Right,
to
right.
approach as a trainer, and but also like Q as well. And he was like, um, I think you should get into steel mace because it's very different, and you're just like, I really feel like that this is a thing for you. And the funny
Yeah.
part was, I had just bought my first 15-pound mace,
Oh,
probably like two
wow.
weeks earlier, because at that point I was like watching Isak like a hawk.
Yeah, right.
So I was watching Isak do everything, and I was like, you know, this thing's really intriguing. And the first day I got it, or I should not the first day I got it. The first day I got it, I didn't use it. I was kind of just like watching Isak and just examining everything that he was doing. And again, no, it was a 15-pound mace.
All right.
So the first day I took it to the gym, I actually was doing like a photo shoot for the gym that I worked with a bunch of other people. And before the photo shoot, I was upstairs in the yoga studio, which some of my like mace videos are up in that studio.
Okay.
And I just put it on the floor and I picked it up and I was like, all right, either we're gonna have a relationship with each other or we're not.
Oh, wow.
And I picked it up and I started doing a 360, the reverse way, and into a side lunge, and that was it. I just started doing a 360 into a side lunge, and from that day forward, I practiced mace every single day, pretty
What
much.
was it? Like, what hooked you? Was it just the feeling, or was it just like you felt right?
It felt right, but it was more just like, this might sound, you can probably relate to this, but there's this feeling of rotation that happens as it goes around you that kind of like waves across you. It's this very intrinsic feeling,
Yeah.
um, that has come out in other aspects of my life, um, and other journeys in my life, I'll say. That was very familiar to me, and it was kind of like that element of, this seems right because it seems strangely familiar, was the thing.
Wow.
And yeah, and another part of it was like, I kind of reveled in the fact that I was the only person in the gym with a steel mace.
Right, right.
Nobody knew what I was doing with it. Nobody. I would do it out in the middle of the gym and people would look at me like, what's that person doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
um so that was part of it, just like being able to experiment with it and find my way. It was just very challenging,
Yeah.
and I knew that I had a lot to learn with it. So what I did was I signed up, but this is back when ESIC was still on it. I signed up for the this is like, I started using the mace in like December 2017, and I
Wow.
want to say I signed up for the ONNIT certification in like March of 2018. And at that point, ESIC was supposed to run it. But over the summer of 2018 is when ESIC separated from ONNIT and went to do Viking Ninja.
Ah, shit.
So I was like, I was I was bummed because I
Yeah.
was like, man, I'm not gonna learn from ESIC at ONNIT. Like, who am I gonna learn from?
I
So I still continue to watch ESIC and Viking Ninja and him developing Viking Ninja and all that stuff. And just like one day of I don't remember if it was like the ONNIT Instagram or what, but I just came across and the thing was I knew who Rick Brown was too. Like
Right.
I actually knew Rick Brown from before ESIC.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that
He's been around for a while.
yeah, yeah. But I just the thing that caught me with ESIC was when he would do arrows and uppercuts.
Mm, right.
That move that because that was like, wow, I haven't ever seen anybody do that with a mace. So that was the thing, like the element of a lunge with the mace was kind of like the thing that hooked me.
Yeah, yeah.
And so going back to like the summer of 2018, I want to say I saw it in like an ONNIT post or something like that, but I saw Leo doing sword swings.
Right.
So
That's
I went from the evolution of like seeing Isak do arrows and uppercut lunges to watching Leo twirl it around doing a sword swing. And I was like, I want to learn how to do that too,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Because that's really what hooked me about like Leo's style.
Yeah.
And so then shortly thereafter, that's when Leo announced his first certification in Long Beach, California in October of 2018. So I was already signed up to go to ONNIT in November. And I was like, I had this moment of like, you know, this is going to be the first of its kind. This is Leo's first certification. And there was some things in my life that were pointing me towards going to that.
Yeah.
Some spiritual inner journeys, we'll say, were pointing me in the direction of taking the leap and going to the first Leo Savage certification.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep.
Yeah, so you know, if we want to go even deeper, like I was having some plant journeys and stuff like that, and really getting in touch with certain dimensions and realities of life and how to navigate the dimension of life and the reality of life. And I had a lot of repeat mace imagery in those journeys, visions, whatever you want to call them.
Wow.
And that's how I knew that I was pretty much on the right path, because I kept seeing imagery of that and other things as well. So I guess while I was waiting to for Leo certification, I really started to like dig into the mace world. And I pretty much came across everybody. I came across like Coach Vaughn, you know, more stuff from Rick. Um, what else? Just a lot.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
like I was actively using mace as like an accessory to train one of my clients, because he didn't really like barbells and strength training, and he just liked doing straight up mace the entire time. So I was like, all right, then let's do mace the entire time.
That is actually rare, especially in my area. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loved the mace. And
Wow.
I actually ended up gifting him that mace for his birthday like 5 months later.
That's so
Um,
dope.
so you know, fast forward to and at the same time, at this period of time, I'm straddling being a trainer in the AM, the early AM, and the afternoon and nighttime hours. During the day, I am working roadway construction. So I have and I work pretty much every day, like in some capacity at this point in time. And about it was like September of 2018, I had the chance to become a training director at the gym that I was training at. So I took the leap. I became training director and I left construction, which was my original goal, to become a full-time trainer or just in the fitness industry full-time and leave construction behind, because I'd been in that career for 13 years.
Wow.
So that was like a big goal in itself, which I did. And then I went to the certification in October, and I met, you know, everybody there, and Leo certification, and it was Leo on Saturday and Rick on Sunday. So I got to meet Rick as well. And like Leo certification is the hardest certification I've ever been through. Like I've been to FRC and like, what else? So like if I compare like FRC to Leo cert, FRC, you're sitting there and you're basically listening to Dr. Spina like riff about joint health and everything, all that.
Right.
You go to Leo certification and you're fucking lunging all day long.
I was just gonna ask. I was like, what makes it hard? Because I really want to know. This is the first time I've heard someone say that it's difficult.
It's fucking hard. Like I was at the first one, so he was basically teaching his online course that day, and you lunge all fucking day. Like you just do. So you already have to have like a pretty good element of fitness in your life to even complete the certification, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end, we did our 500 360s into the masterclass flow to get a chance to have our black certificate, which means with honors. So I had never done 500 360s in a row. I was used to doing maybe 50 at a time.
Yeah.
So when he said, at the end, okay, here's what you do you can either leave here today with the white certificate or you can leave with the black certificate. So, of course, wow. I'm gonna leave with the black certificate. I was just like, I made the trek here. I want to be recognized as with honors.
Yeah.
So I did the 500 360s, and like, if you're not used to doing that number of 360s, that's a wake up call. Like that is totally wake up call. And then right after that, you do your masterclass flow. And if you're not used to doing 500 360s, the mental battle that you're going through while you're trying to accomplish those 500 360s is one thing.
Yeah.
And then you go through the mental battle of, now I'm going to complete the masterclass flow in front of Serena and Leo.
I know. Wow.
That I just learned today.
That would be stressful. Like, at least to me, thinking about it.
It is, but it's a good kind of stress. They really ask the best of you. And when you get that certification, it really does mean something. It means that you completed something very difficult. So I don't take that black certificate very lightly. I hold that like over my head, like I am Steel Mace Flow with honors.
Right.
And I was at the first time that with honors test, besides Serena trying to take hers, or I think Serena completed hers that day. Wow. So she was testing out as well. So it was a big thing. And I was like, while it was happening, it was just like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is the reason I fucking came here, to do this,
right.
So, completing that and getting that black certificate was just like, whoa. And then the day after that, we do Rick Cert. And like Rick Cert is awesome as well. And like just Rick as a human being is just like, he just has this iconic vibe about him that he doesn't even realize it. I don't think like he does, but he doesn't. Like when you're in Rick's presence, you're just like he states all the time, like, nobody loves the mace as much as I do.
Right. Yeah.
And
I Rick too, dude. Like
totally believe it.
I remember meeting him and I'm like, this guy's a fucking legend. Like that's kind of what it makes me feel like. Like later on in the future, I'm gonna feel real fucking awesome that I met this guy in person.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Like he just he definitely has that.
Yeah. So after Rick was finished his cert, some of us went and hung out with Leo and Serena. And just hanging out with those people that night, it was like I felt like I had known everybody for years, and I just met
like
them
family
the day before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just that kind of vibe, and like, I'm a pretty social person, and I've been around, but I'm also from Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is kind of it's kind of a tough town. Like, there definitely is a certain edge to people here that isn't as open as people from other areas that I've come to know. So for me to really like be in that situation and be open with everybody kind of says a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody was really just, everybody had a very unique story, and everybody was like their own character. And I just felt very connected to everybody there that night,
Yeah, yeah.
and how everybody told their story.
That's
So
awesome.
I knew after that that like I'm gonna be part of this Steel Mace Flow thing. Like, I just knew it. There was no doubt. I had like a very um uh I don't even know the word to say it is it. I don't have words for it because nothing like that has ever happened to me before. I kind of had an experience that night while everybody was telling their stories where I almost had like a dissociative episode of like everybody was
Wow.
telling their stories, and they got very emotional, and I was like the last person in line to tell their story, and like Leo's right next to me, and like I come up next, and he's just like, so Jamie, like, what do you have to say, and like the three people before me like just poured their heart and soul out, and like tears came out and everything, and I just felt like I was about to kind of like just break open like a dam of water. And I was like, there was a part of me that was just like, you can't do this. You don't know these people. Like, just, you can't do this. And there was this internal battle with me while that moment was happening of like, keep it the fuck together. Don't fall apart right now. So there's like this uh, speaker in front of me that is me, that was like saying something about how I was having a hard time finding my place in the fitness industry, and I felt like everybody there resonated with me and everything like that. But in the back, like the real me that was just like, there was just all this trauma and emotion that was just like wanting to just like erupt essentially, and I didn't let it. And like after that I felt like, since I didn't kind of like and it probably sounded weird while I was talking too, it probably sounded kind of robotic as well, but
Yeah.
I could see that everybody wanted me to like, they really wanted to know like the real me, and I didn't really show it at that moment in time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of I regretted that for like that night and like days after that, because it was like it really taught me something about myself. I had like this experience that was like that I'd never had before, and I've had a lot of experiences. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never had one quite like that. So that to me was like, there's something behind this experience. There's something behind this situation, the Steel Mace Flow, these people that I'm gonna go with. So that was that. And like the next month, so I come back from California, and all of a sudden, like, I'm training director of a gym. And
Wow.
yeah,
That's
so
interesting, right?
right. So it was like I come back, I get off the plane, and like boom, it's like my first week as training director, and I just finished Steel Mace Flow and Rick Cert. So I'm I'm doing things training director, and the next month I go down to ONNIT and I take the Steel Mace Specialist certification, which is awesome. And I met a lot of awesome people there as well. And Heartbeats was at that, and
Ah, heartbeats.
Heartbeats was at that. Yeah, so I got to meet Heartbeats, which was,
Yes.
it was super awesome.
Yeah, that's so you're lucky.
Yeah, I was truly lucky that I attended that one. And
Yeah.
and Leo was there, kind of just like as a guest of the certification as well. So I
Wow.
got to hang out with Leo again, and I met a lot of great people there. I met JJ Pepper, I met Neil, I met Primal Lucci. Like, I just met so many awesome. I met Adam Meredith. I met a ton of people there, and
Yeah.
everybody was super cool. And Shane Hines did the certification. I it was, he did it perfectly. I couldn't ask for a better certification. But while I was there, like, Leo and I definitely had some time to hang out and talk. And I told Leo, I'm like, I want to go deeper into Steel Mace Flow. that's what resonates with me.
Wow.
And he was telling me that he was at that point he had just started like his beta class online, and it was like his first group of online students for the month-long certification. So I was like, I'm into that. I want to try that. And I got back from ONNIT, and like the next month, December came around, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to. I want to do I'm basically going to do it over again. But like you got you got on a call 3 times a week with Leo and everybody else, and it got super in depth with the course of like really, really nuanced things like, oh, your elbow's supposed to be here, your wrist is supposed to be here in this move. So really,
Okay.
I learned how to like just look at somebody and take it apart. So that was like that month-long certification while we were all together and we all had homework. That's what actually made me a really good coach, I'll say, because I felt it too. I was like, I'm doing this. I see exactly what Leo's talking about. It's like I'm in Leo's head right now with everything that he says.
Yeah.
So everything just set in after that point, and I was just ready to go coach after that. And coach, I did. I got 1 class, then I had 3 classes a week, then I had 4 classes a week.
Wow.
And for a while, I was doing 5 classes a week. Now I'm only doing 3 to 4 a week, because the one gym that I was doing classes at decided to cut all classes except for yoga and bar class.
Huh.
Even though my class was doing really well, actually.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like it goes well too, right?
Yeah, like my class there was doing really well. I was getting consistently like 6 to 8 to 10 people per class. Wow. And the cap on the class there is 10. So I just think they were kind of just like, we don't know what steel mace is, we don't know what you're doing, and people like yoga.
Well, I'm assuming that was meant to happen, right? Because
it was to me, and that's the way I look at it. I look at everything like, okay, that door's shut, no problem, another one's going to open, because that's what's supposed to happen. Like, I'm supposed to leave there and go do something else, which I did. I started teaching at another gym 2 days a week, and now basically some of the people that came to my mace class at that gym just migrated over to the other gym because it's not far away.
Right.
So I created some sort of community there, and it just carried over into the other gym, which was nice. And a lot of those people that stuck with it have progressed past the point of like what I would consider like level 1 mace work.
Wow.
So I get to show them like complex stuff, like complex little flows and stuff, so they can kind of look at the mace the way that I do, and see the roads to create and things like that. That's how I coach it. Just like the reason I do this is because there is so much freedom in it for yourself. You can really explore you when you do this practice, and you don't have to think about oh, I'm going to do 10 lunges to the left, I'm going to do 10 lunges to the right. It's like, no, just play with this thing, right?
Yeah.
Just don't pay attention to the time. Don't pay attention to how many reps you got to do or whatever. Know that these moves, and then play really intense until you get tired, take a break, play again, and keep doing it. So that's like giving my students that mentality has kept them pretty excited about just owning a mace and playing with a mace, and also coming to class, because they realize that there's nobody else that they know that's doing that. So it gives them this unique kind of thing that they're connected to.
What kind of changes do you see in them when they start like playing with the mace? Like, in your opinion?
The thing, so the immediate physical thing that I see is their hips become way better than they were. From all the lunging and stuff like that. Like there's no shaky legs anymore. They become really fluid when they step. and really sure about their steps as well, versus like, oh, what am I doing now? And then you can tell like what they feel solid with and what they're still kind of working on. But I guess like really what it is, when you take away like the whole like fitness aspect and like everything like that, they come to class knowing that they're doing something very unique,
Right.
that is very new but old at the same time. So they kind of hold this thing with them, like I practice steel mace flow, or I practice steel mace flow with Jamie.
Right.
It's really cool, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of that's what it is really. It's like it's a novel thing, you know.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about your videos, because your videos are off the hook, man. Like, how do you like put them together? Like, I always trip out on some of these because like.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
I make them so, say you like to dabble in plant medicine like I do, and you like to watch things like I do. So and also be inspired. So the whole reason why I make the videos the way that I do is because going back to visions and things that inspire me in those visions, that is the best way that I can make those visions come to life.
Wow.
And on top of that, I'm always trying to do something completely unique, novel, and authentic on my part that's different from everybody else. Not to separate myself from everybody else, but to add to the pool.
Yeah.
To add to like this unique organism. So, me coming from a background of being a musician my entire adult life, and also like, an explorer of plant medicines and things of that nature, and an explorer of consciousness and just all things good and loving. That's what really that's what I hope is shining through when I make these videos. It's like, when you see The Alchemist, that is like the strongest part of myself, that is really drinking from the cup of life, like there is no pain there. There's no regret. There's none of the negative emotions that come attached to everyday life, when I'm doing those videos, when I'm doing those flows. What it really comes down to is like these brief moments of like tapping into a place where human consciousness almost doesn't exist. It's past judgment. It's past all the things that we consider normal functions of the human brain, and it's just picking up what's there and using my body to pick up what's there with the movements that I know. So it's like, you can see in every video that I do, there was something that I was picking up that day. And that particular day, you're going to see me do that move quite a few times and try and make it as perfect as I possibly can each time, and maybe do a variation on it as well. And that's really what it is. It's no different for me than playing a guitar solo inside of a song or something like that. Like, I think about mace as guitar. Like, if I sit down and play my guitar, I'm going to sit and play the guitar and riff out for a while and just try and find something and develop something. And I'm always trying to do new stuff, even on guitar. So it gets really hard to reinvent yourself sometimes, but you sit down and you have a fresh approach. And I approach mace the very same way. I might be like, oh, I've done all these moves. Like, I might be doing like a flow that day or whatever and trying to find something new. It's just like, I might have busted out so many moves that you'd be like, oh my God, that was awesome. And my thought is like, I do that shit all the time. I'm trying to find something new,
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what that comes from, what those videos come from, and I try and make each and every one different. Even though like I can only work within the limits of the application that I use. So you can tell that if you really look close and you examine the videos, you'll see some videos I'm intentionally moving slow and I'm speeding the video up. Or there's a video that I'm doing in slow motion and I'm moving very fast in slow motion. And then I cut it back maybe like 65%. So it looks almost robotic when I move. So I'm trying to make every video and the way I move unique. And then the things, the colors and the trails that chase the mace and me and the environment to come alive. So it's like, you're not just watching me do mace, you're watching the entire room breathe with me. And I'm taking in like the ether of the room, you know, I'm like taking in the ether around me and like reaching for like the magic around me. So that's what you're seeing me do. When I do
now it's making sense, the Alchemist, you know, like that name's making sense now, hearing you. Like it's a really dope to hear you talking about it. It almost sounds like art to me, right? Like what you're doing is they're like fragments of you and you're putting it out there. And I think that's what we see, right? When I look at your videos, I'm like, there's something special going on there. So it's really cool to hear you actually talking about it.
Yeah. I'm an artist through and through. I've said this to Leo before, that what I'm trying to do is make a life based around art, and my life is my canvas, and all the things that I do are my art, you know? So whether it's creating a guitar, I've built guitars and painted guitars, whether it's doing like an oil painting or whatever, I'm a very creative person, and I need to utilize that creativity, or else I feel dead.
Yeah.
You know? And like, you're the same way. You're a very creative person as well. You've created a world. You know, you've created your own corner of the steel mace world. Now you have your own gym. You know, like, you're doing it the same way that I'm doing it. Like, we're literally the same person, just in different states and living a different life and a different reality, but we're very much the same that way. So I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah, that's so dope. Absolutely. Like, and I'm hearing your story because I'm actually a guitar player, in case you didn't know.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to hit on that. Like, sometimes I think about why did I get like drawn to the steel mace? And I think about it from like a logical perspective. I'm like, maybe it's because it has something to do with your hands. You know, because when you have a guitar and you're playing rhythm or leads or whatever, you know, it's your hands. So I figured maybe that's one of the reasons why I like steel mace. You know, like I haven't touched a guitar for a while just because it's an emotional thing for me. But at least I have the mace, and I don't know, just having it, I still have like that kind of connection. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate to that.
I can totally relate to it, but I can also build on that. So, like, I came across a blurb on Facebook a while, like not too long ago, about how guitar players have different brains than everybody else, and their brain function is different than anybody else. So I was reading along with it and trying to figure out, like, how does this come into what I do with the mace?
Yeah.
And basically what it does is it comes down to, I'll reference a Robert Greene book, which is called Mastery, and he opens the book with the development of the human brain through the evolution of the human hand and how we used our hands, you know, and how we used our hands to build tools, to hunt, to do everything. That was our technology, was the use of our hands. So that book goes off about how sometimes, like, people that work in the trades and work with their hands are kind of like looked upon as like sometimes like less than, because they do like a labor job. But actually, like, doing things with your hands is incredibly stimulating to the brain and causes your brain to grow. So I think what it comes down to is, like, I've been using my hands on guitar for so long to write music and to use my brain with my hands, that the reaction of my hands to brain connection is just pretty fluid.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm sure it's probably the same thing for you. So that's why mace came very natural to me to do it. And also, like, I've always been pretty good with my hands, just in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that interesting thing to think about, you know.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I'm glad you referenced the book and stuff. So I'll make sure I'll put it in the blog and everything.
Amazing book.
Yeah, I'll make sure I
Amazing
put
book.
it
One of my
in there.
favorites.
So question, since we're talking about guitar and you do music, do you do rhythm, lead, or both?
Both.
Both. Right on.
So like the one band, so I'll tell you the story of Witch Fist, because the story of Witch Fist is actually how I got into the fitness industry.
Oh, okay.
So backing up pre Alchemist, pre Jamie in the fitness industry, I was, you know, a musician. I was like, work construction during the day to pay for my musical band at night and weekends and do all that shit. So Witch Fist was, you know, we played a lot of shows while we were in that band, and we played a lot of out of state shows as well. We toured around quite a bit and made a lot of friends. And what happened was, the drummer of the band was going to have a baby with his wife, and I, from previous experience, I know that it's really hard to be in a touring band when you're expecting a child,
Right.
especially when that touring band is not your primary source of income. So I knew that, okay, this band is going to go to sleep for a little while, and it did. So I had to really like look at my life up to that point. I was like 37 years old, and I'd been in like 6 bands at that point, probably like, I don't know, 17 albums, something like that. And
Wow.
it was like my entire adult life, I've been trying to really make it as a professional musician. And like, what do I have to show for it? I don't really have anything to show for it. So I had to make a decision of like, do I want to get stuck in this construction career and watch my musical life just like slowly fade away? Or do I want to reinvent my life to the way that I want to live it and still be able to play music? So playing music takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of your time.
Right.
So I had to think, like, what else am I good at that I can be able to still play music and have the time to do it, and also, you know, just thrive in something else. So to me, that was fitness. I'd been going to the gym and doing the fitness thing since I was about, you know, 21 years old. And that just stemmed from me wanting to be the best entertainer that I could be on stage. That's really what it was. It was like, I put everything I possibly could, my whole heart and soul, into being a musician. And part of that was being physically fit to be on stage and like buck around like a stallion, like crazy on stage. You know, I reveled in the fact that I could do that. And, you know, like I said, when that band kind of like went to sleep or split apart, it was like heartbreaking to me. And I really had to look at my life and like think about, how do I want to spend my life and how do I want to spend my days? And that's what kind of led me into the fitness industry, which led me to where I am now.
Right.
So
right.
it is a long tail.
Yeah.
But, it is a tale.
And it's a fantastic tale, actually.
So when Witch Fist kind of went to sleep, that is how Desert Hands formed. Desert Hands formed because the bass player and singer from Witch Fist, we still wanted to keep playing music and everything. So we went off and kind of formed Desert Hands, while Witch Fist was kind of like not defined as anything. It was just kind of asleep. So that's how that formed. And come around full circle, Witch Fist is going to be releasing an album that we all recorded before the band went to sleep that was never released in like the next few months.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then Desert Hands is going to be releasing an EP in October. So I have a lot of music coming out in the next few months as well.
Wow. And it's so cool you announced it on here, because I'm going to make sure I link everyone into that.
Yeah, yeah. I
Dope.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, there's a lot. I have a lot of all the things that I've been working on for the past few years are all going to like come out at the same time essentially. So it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Wow. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. And like I was listening to the music and it's good, man. Like I was listening to I'm like, fuck yeah, I could actually like bump
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It's good
Right.
stuff, you know.
Yeah, dude. The guitar is awesome. But
Yeah.
the music overall was really good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that was awesome. Where can people find you if they want to like maybe train with you in person? And then do you offer like online training or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. I do offer online training. We can do it through Zoom. If you want to be coached by the Alchemist. I reside in Philadelphia. I train out of a gym called Charge Performance and Wellness. That's the main gym that I train out of. I do mace classes there as well as like some cross training classes. And then I do 2 classes a week at a gym called Fire for Effect in Manio. Basically, if you just go to my Instagram, you'll see everything that I do. That's really it. My Instagram's kind of like my hub of, everything that I announce or anything like that. But yeah.
Right on. Right on. All right. So go ahead and what's your Instagram handle again? Is it just Jamie_Pinto?
Yeah,
Okay.
JAMIE _PINTO _.
Shoot,
Just
I
my
think you
name.
should change that to the Alchemist. That'd be
Well,
dope.
I mean,
Just saying, just throwing it out.
future's wide open. But I mean, I'll make one final announcement. Like this week, I was just granted to be part of these Steel Mace Flow education teams. So I'll
I
be
know,
able to
dude.
certify
Congratulations.
coaches.
Like, that's so awesome. I saw the whole list and I was like, this is gonna be awesome. That's like
Yeah,
dope.
it's quite a list of
Yeah.
mace heads. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be part of that and just do my part for the mace community in general.
Yeah,
So,
congratulations. I'm so happy for all of you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you so much for being on this podcast. I'll make sure for anyone watching, I'll make sure I'll add all the links so you guys can go check him out, check out his videos, the music, and I guess hit him up if you want to train. Mace, the Alchemist way. All right. Thank you so much, and may the universe always flow with you.